Good people, can anything good come out of Nigeria? Let's talk about it. Habibi, come to Nigeria. Anyway, people think that there are no pros of living in Nigeria. I can tell you that there are quite a number of things that are great in Nigeria, for sure, especially if you come in here as a foreigner. So there are a lot of interesting job opportunities. For example, a lot of Kenyans are actually heading in the hospitality industry, and you know the hospitality industry here is very, very big. I mean, they have big resorts, they have big hotels, you know, because of the size and the population of Nigeria. So whatever you can think of, say for example, if you're a Kenyan, if something is this big in Nigeria, is this big. So we have Kenyans here who have been headhunted to actually head the biggest companies, the biggest organizations, you know. And I'll tell you one thing, especially in the hospitality industry, most of all these big resorts and big hotels are being headed by Kenyans, you know. Head chefs, the managing directors are actually Kenyans. Also these big companies, you know, even local manufacturing industries are being headed by Kenyans. So, and other nationalities. One thing I'll say about Nigerians is that they actually value foreigners, or maybe they prefer foreigners for some high-level jobs, maybe because of different mindsets, you know, different ways of doing things. And they also say that actually Kenyans are very professional. Kenyans are actually known to be very good at what they do because they focus on their focus and do their job. I have people who have been here in the telecommunications industry for over 10 years, you know, and they're thriving and they've risen through the ranks and they're making amazing money, you know, multinationals being headed by Kenyans, you know, instead of always looking to go abroad, you know, to the US, to the UK. You should probably consider coming to West Africa. And honestly, let me tell you something, regional experience is very, very important. I'll tell you that my own experience has been that since I came to Nigeria, my rate card has gone higher, you know. In Kenya, I was asking for X. In Nigeria, I can ask for, I won't say X times what, or X to the power of what, but I'll be very honest with you. If you can prove that you can be able to work in Nigeria and actually excel and be good at what you're doing, maybe because of the dynamics and the size of the population and the size of the industries, it actually makes a very big difference in your CV. I have even very young people who have come here and they've been headhunted for the tech space. You know, Nigeria is leading in tech innovations in Africa currently. I mean, Kenya started off very well. I don't know what happened, but right now, most of the tech innovations are coming from Nigeria. A lot of funding is coming to Nigeria in millions of dollars, you know, whether in health tech, in ed tech, you know, in job tech, you know. I have seen a lot of innovations coming from Nigeria. Every other day there's an innovation in fintech, in something else. I mean, so please, if they headhunt you to come to Nigeria, please don't think twice, just come. Especially if the position is good and the opportunity is good, just come and try it out. By the time you go back home, trust me, your rate card will be much higher. You'll be asking for much more money than before. And please, Nigerians are actually looking to hire Kenyans because Kenyans are thought of as more professional. I don't know which other countries they are looking at, but I know they specifically like Kenyans. So think about it if you want to expand into the West African region. So the other good reason of actually living or moving into Nigeria is because of the culture, you know, the arts, the music, you know, especially in the entertainment field. Honestly, if you come to Nigeria, you'll never be the same again. Think about all the great musicians that come from here, the Davidos, the Kiss Daniels, you know, Flavor, Ruga, you know. I know Kenyans love Nigerian music, and I think we can learn a thing or two. We can learn a thing or two actually from Nigeria. So I think it would be really nice if somebody who's in the arts can actually come, arts, you know, music, just come to Nigeria and learn what they are doing and how they do their things. You know, you can feel the soul of arts and culture is in Nigeria. As in, Nigerians are such artistic people. As in, it's amazing. You know, they are very creative. You know, the people just burst into song. Song is in them, you know. It's like it's natural. So I feel like if you're in the arts and music, I think it's actually good to actually spend some time here, come here, spend some time, learn under somebody, see how they do their things, and I'm sure it will really help you in your creativity, you know. So think about it and come and be great also, other than just, you know, just doing the same thing over and over again. That's why Nigeria is leading in the world over. See the kind of collaborations people are collaborating. Everyone wants to collaborate with a Nigerian musician. Ed Sheeran, you know, Rihanna has his music written by Chams, you know. I mean, you people, please, think about it. Think about it very, very well, And if you're in the arts and culture, consider actually doing a collaboration, not just a music collaboration, but actually a learning collaboration. Come here even for internship. Come here and shadow somebody and learn a thing or two about the arts and culture. Also, you get to enjoy the arts and culture. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've gone somewhere and I've just bumped into one of these celebrities, and they're all over the place. And when I'm talking about celebrities, it's not just because they are, when I think of celebrities, I'm not thinking about because you have a large following. No. It's about the things that you're able to do. What are you celebrated for? And you just go maybe to a mall, or you go to a particular hotel and you just bump into them, and they're there and they're willing to actually just talk to you. It's like a normal thing. So I love that about living in Nigeria. And also the fact that these celebrities actually diversify in their businesses in a very, very big way. See Mr. Easy, for example. See the kind of business interest that he has. So I feel like if there can be that kind of exchange, if people that are in the arts and the music can come to Nigeria, can learn a thing or two about the business of music, I feel like some people just sing for the sake of singing, and I know, for example, some people just chase clout with their music, or they feel they're content creators and they want to sing. But actually here, music is taken very, very seriously because it's part of their cultural, it's in their DNA, and part of their cultural identity. So I feel like if somebody came here, they would just not learn the beats and the basics of music, but actually learn about the business of music and actually how they can diversify their portfolio from music into other things. So people, please really consider visiting Nigeria, even if just for touristic reasons. The other thing is that the weather is great. Wow, there's always sunshine in Nigeria. Even when it's raining, it's not cold. In Kenya, our winter, it gets so cold. There are places that actually rain until people think that there's snow. I think in Nyahururu, it gets really, really cold. In Nigeria, you rarely get that kind of cold. Maybe only during the Hamatan, where during the day it's very hot and during the night it can get a bit chilly. But it's not chilly to the point of that you get a cold or you get a flu. The weather is actually always friendly. The other thing is that, for example, if you live in the Lagos Island, like we do, the beach is just right next door. I can just drive to the beach 5 minutes just across the road, and I'll have a very good time at the beach. In Kenya, I have to think about going to Mombasa. Either I book a flight or get on the SGR for about 4-5 hours, So the idea is that the weather is great, and depending on where you live, but in most places, we have water. There's a lot of places that you can go and just chill and enjoy yourself. So I really love that about Nigeria. Of course, also the food options are many, not like in Kenya. I'm not dissing Kenyans, but you can learn a thing or two about the different food varieties and what we can do with food. Here in Kenya, mostly we have tea and bread for breakfast. We are very English that way. But here we have yam, we have plantain, we have food in the morning. Sometimes, you wake up and make your rice and stew and you eat it. We have very different kinds of things. When you think of your swallows, like the ugali. In Kenya, we only have maybe cornmeal ugali, like pap in South Africa. But here you have, swallow or ugali from, something called semo. There's poundo, there's wheat, there's fufu that a lot of people know. There's a lot of open-mindedness about your food choices too. And that's why you see a lot of Nigerians are very, very healthy. So that's one of the pros. I really love the food here. And also the drink options are so many, other than just the fresh fruit juices that we have and water and maybe the sodas. Here we have thousands and thousands of different kinds of soft drinks and even beer options. The beauty is that they also manufacture for themselves. When you really think about Kenya, other than the EABL and maybe Keroche, which are here now that they closed or there's some sort of trouble, here we have so many people manufacturing, and so there's just that options of different food options, different drinks options. So the other thing that is a pro is actually the population, depending on how you think about it. Because the people are many, that means then whatever business that you want to do, then you have higher probability of getting more clientele. you know. So there's diversity in terms of the kind of clientele or clients for your products and services. So the population also, I think, is a pro. People think of it as a con, but it's actually a pro, but it can also fall on the con because of limited access to, you know, opportunities and amenities. But for me, I look at it that because of the high population, that means that there's more opportunities to make more money, and there's more opportunities to actually do more of whatever you want to do. So the other pro of living in Nigeria is that they've actually mastered decentralization. So, you know, in Kenya, we just when the constitution came is when now we started having the different, you know, counties. Nigeria has had this since. So basically what we call counties are states. So the states are so well governed because they are very fully decentralized. They are almost autonomous in how they do their things. So that means that at a local level, your things can get sorted. You know, of course, there are things that have to be sorted at federal level. Federal level in Nigeria, in Kenya, we call it national level, right? But you find that here in Nigeria, that you can do everything. You can do everything in your state. You can live in Lagos and never have a reason to go out of Lagos ever. You know, or you can live in whatever state and never have a reason to leave the state ever. So in Kenya, we still find that there are things you still have to go to the capital city, which is Nairobi, to do, you know, particular things, you know. So in Nigeria, things are decentralized, and if you want to meet your local leader, if you can, then it becomes very, very easy, you know, because of the kind of systems that they have. Of course, this is also contingent on the kind of person that the leader is. Do they really want to be accessible to people or not? But anyway, decentralization has really worked well for Nigeria, and that means that services are closer to the people, and you know, don't need to travel very, very far. So that's actually a pro of living in Nigeria. The thing about Nigeria is that there's such a huge gap between the rich and the poor. Or let me correct myself and say the wealthy and the poor before we even come to the rich. So the wealthy, there's the uber rich of Nigeria, you know, the uber wealthy of Nigeria, such that when you even think about the Forbes list of the wealthy people, you might find a Nigerian there. If it's an African, it's probably a Nigerian, you know. And they've made very many lists. I mean, you know the names, right? I don't need to name the names. And then the poor are really, really poor. And because of poverty levels, there's of course a lot of, you know, crime, you know, civil unrest, and then also cases of kidnapping and other ills that come out of that. So my biggest con of living in Nigeria is actually insecurity. You know, I miss the feeling that I used to have in Kenya or in other places in the world, where I'll just walk about and go away. You know, if I want to jump in an Uber, I'll just go wherever I want to go, regardless of wherever I am in the world. I mean, I've been, you know, in other parts of the world, and I've never had to really think about my security per se, just the normal things. But in Nigeria, it really becomes difficult to even get in an Uber. I'll tell you for free, I've never been in public transport, never. And even the few times I've used Uber, it's a very short distance, and people have my ETA at any one point, you know. So I avoid that, and my husband does not even allow me or the children to get in public transport. So I miss that about, you know, living in Kenya. I miss that about traveling to other parts of the world, because insecurity is crazy, you know. Cases of kidnapping are, you know, bad. Civil unrest at any one time. We've seen people actually just get hit by a stray bullet. You're sitting in traffic, you know, just a normal person going to work, and a stray bullet has just hit you. Why? Because of crime, you know, crime and insecurity. So for me, that's the biggest con about living in Nigeria. So the other thing, of course, is, you know, lack of amenities, the things that we take for granted in other parts of the world, like, you know, access to power, access to electricity, access to clean water at any one time. Yes, those things are there, but you don't have them 24/7. And of course, you know what that means to the economic growth or economic well-being of the people. I mean, we need these things to actually grow as a continent, you know, access to, I mean, power. For a country that is actually oil producing should not be a big issue. But honestly, we have a very big problem of light, and as everybody in the world knows, Nigeria really suffers from, you know, access to light. And the worst thing is that now people actually now depend on generators. Every other household has a generator, you know. Before I came to Nigeria, I didn't even know what a small generator looked like. I only knew that there were generators as backup in estates, and even then I never saw the place because it's very well guarded. Here, every other house has a generator. Everywhere and anywhere, anyone has a generator. And you know what even now makes it worse is that sometimes there's fuel crisis, and people are actually depending on their generators, and there's a fuel crisis, leave alone now fuel for the cars. So what I don't like is just the poor infrastructure, you know. lack of things that should be there for many, many reasons. Not because sometimes they're not there, but because people are not willing to work for them to be there. Because let's face it, light just is not a natural resource. Somebody has to put the things in place for there to be good lighting, you know, and affordable lighting. Someone has to work for there to be good water, you know, at any one time and accessible to everyone, which is a human right because people are paying taxes. It's not there, you know, for an oil producing country to always have fuel crisis at any one time or the other. I mean, it's appalling, really. Like in the recent few weeks, I think since December, we've had really bad fuel crisis. People have spent days on end on queues, you know, just waiting to buy fuel. So you find that sometimes you even have to hire somebody to actually go and fuel your car for you. So they fuel one car and go back and go and get another one, because you could waste a whole day. You know, there's one time that we went to fuel and we actually waited for 2 hours in the queue. You can actually see the petrol station is there, but they've locked the petrol station and said we're going to open at a particular time, you know, and they're not actually telling you that we'll open at 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. They say, oh, we're about to open. So because maybe they are only like say 10 cars ahead of you, you're like, okay, let's wait. And waited for almost 2 hours. You know what happened? By the time we're just getting at the front of the queue, they actually closed. We were so angry. Can you imagine what 2 hours of your day look like, you know? And for me, I feel so bad because in Kenya, as much as we are not an oil producing country, we've never had that kind of problem. Even when there is like a sort of shortage, you know, we've never had a crisis to the point of there's no fuel and petrol stations have been closed for days on end. But we always have a way of going around things. We've never been grounded because you don't have fuel. Maybe because you don't have money to buy fuel, but not because there's no fuel. Of course, they'll increase fuel prices, but we've had, you know, there's mitigation against some things because we know the cost of these things. In Nigeria, it's like people just don't care, you know. So it has become so bad that we actually now even store fuel, you know, in jerry cans. You know, here they call it kegs, you know. So we store fuel in jerry cans, and like now our gatehouse is just, you know, we have almost 100 liters of fuel just stored there, you know. So it's that, those are the things that actually some of the cons. These are things that you need to move day by day. You need fuel to go to school, you know, you need fuel to go to work, you need fuel, you know, just for your day-to-day running, for even your business, especially because there's no light, you need to run gen to be able to do your business. And it gets so bad, it's such a systemic issue, to the point that even the petrol station attendants, before they sell you fuel in the keg or jerry can, they actually charge you, you know. They'll say, give me 1,000 naira for me to sell you fuel. So as in, it gets, there's such lawlessness, you know, and it gets to me every damn time. Like, I'm like, why are people like this? This is an oil producing company. I mean, sorry, oil producing country. I'm actually getting angry as I speak. You know, it's number 6 in oil production, you know, but fuel is becoming a problem, you know. So those are just some of the things that make me really, really angry. You know, the poor infrastructure, of course, these are governance issues. And I don't know if they'll ever get solved. And I think for me, it's not that people don't know, or the leaders or the people that are supposed to do these things don't know. They know, but they are not willing to do these things. So anyway, as Nigeria goes into elections, I hope they make better choices. I don't know what's going to happen, but Nigeria should actually, as the giant of Africa, it's not doing as well as it should, you know. It could be so much further. Nigeria has the ability to be bigger than China, you know. But, well, governance issue, infrastructure issues, you know, it's really, really bad. Of course, also the population, sometimes it's a con having so many people, because, you know, managing people, and of course when the amenities and the opportunities are not as many, of course there's high cases of unemployment, especially for the locals. So you find people even have masters but they don't have jobs, and that's why you see that a lot of people are venturing out, they're going out of the country, and there's a big problem of brain drain. So for me, I feel like as Africans we need to work together, and that's why I was saying that if there are gaps in Nigeria, we can have other Africans come and work here. And if there are gaps in other countries, let Nigerians go and work there. And I think this thing of always thinking that if you see a Nigerian in your country, then you think they are doing illegal business. That's not the case, because I can tell you I have friends who are Nigerians that are working in Kenya, and they have amazing jobs. They are earning thousands and thousands of dollars in great companies. So it's not every Nigerian who has ventured into another country that is actually a scammer, please, especially other African countries. So please, as Kenyans, let's embrace the ones that are actually doing legit work. Let's not have those kind of labels, because I'll tell you something, in Nigeria we've not had that problem of Kenyans being labeled per se. well, in some parts, because of I don't want to name names, but there's this politician, they say that Kenya extradited, and yeah, so there's that problem. It's called Kanu. You can check out the story. But we've not had a problem like, say, the xenophobia issue in South Africa. So anyway, those are the pros and cons of coming to live and work in Nigeria. And honestly, I think there needs to be better relationships between the African countries. Let's not always venture out to the US, to the UK. You know, the culture shocks will be less if we are dealing African to African. And I believe that we can keep, you know, all the wealth we have in terms of experience and good brain in Africa. So guys, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and let me know what you want to know more of, and I'll bring it to you. Of course, respectfully all the time and truthfully. Thank you so much for keeping it here. We're keeping on growing. Let's stay together and learn more. Bye.